So good afternoon, everybody. Just give us 1 or 2 more minutes for the last people just to drop in. We'll start off in 1 or 2 minutes. So sit back, relax, and of course get a cup of coffee or tea, whatever, because you just might need it today. So everybody should be in here right now. If you're not, you're too late. So this webinar is recorded, so you can ask for a playback version of this. I think it will be published somewhere on our websites. But anyways, welcome to the webinar about, well, our newest partnership with Liquidware. So Liquid and Liquidware decided to partner up. And today we want to tell you a little bit about why did we partner up and what is, of course, what are the benefits of us partnering up. So to introduce ourselves, my name is Nico Ziek, Director of Technology and Solutions at Liquid, which means I'm basically responsible for the pre-sales across the globe, proof of concepts, and a lot of other stuff that is attached to pre-sales. And Andreas, perhaps you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the nice title you gave me, pre-sales consultant, Northern Europe.
Did I make a typo? You're shitting me, of course.
You're just as bad as I am in that respect. So yes, Andreas Swingede. Since September of last year, I've joined Liquidware in the role as a pre-sales consultant for Northern Europe. But I've spent most of my life at Citrix prior to Liquidware, so I have some experience within the EUC space. Let's call it that way.
Some experience, they say. Yeah. So I think both of us are working in the EUC space, Liquid and Liquidware. So the program is as follows. We'll do an introduction about Liquid. I'll start talking about Liquid for the next 10-15 minutes or so. After that, Andreas will take over and talk a little bit about Liquidware. And then I will do a demo where we're better together. So I will do a short, but a really short live demo, just to give you the idea what can Liquid and Liquidware do together. So why did we start Liquid? Just tell a little bit about Liquid. Liquid is designed and started to manage virtual desktops because back in the days there were some good solutions, but they weren't flexible enough and they weren't cool enough. And so we decided to build something ourselves. So Liquidware is a Dutch software vendor. Everything is developed and designed and architected in the Netherlands. And I think, but yeah, I work for Liquid, but I think there are a lot of partners also in this session. If you have any feedback, by the way, just let us know in the chat. It started by consultants. So the people who developed Liquid actually worked in the field. They actually had experience with what's going on in the market. But what is really important for Liquid is the flexibility. So we think everything should be possible. So you see that we partner up with a lot of cool partners, just like Liquidware. So we heard it like a million times in the market. So you guys are competitors. Now, only the names compared to each other. We're not competitors. We're actually pretty cool friends. And now we're really cool partners. So what we try to deliver at Liquid is a unified experience. A unified experience across any device, any platform, so any physical or virtual environment. And to do that, we believe in the any, so any place, anytime, anywhere, but also any cloud, which means that you can operate Liquid across any cloud. And I think that's also where our partnership with Liquidware really stands out. With their Flex technology, we can make those applications universal. So it's really important that our partners decide what to build. So our roadmap is developed also by input from our partners. So we're a really open company to deliver a unified experience for the end users on the front end So they can access any application in the easiest way possible. Just like I click on something, it will be there. But on the back end, give the IT administrators a full box of flexibility. Everything should be possible. If today Citrix is your solution, perfect. If tomorrow AVD is your solution, I think even better. And the day after you're working on a local device, it should all be possible. So too good to be true? Yeah, that's what we hear quite often. So once again, if you have any questions or any feedback, just let us know in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer them. Afterwards, of course, you can also contact us. I think everybody knows how to find us. So why did we start Liquid? Let's dive on what's going on in the market. There's only one certainty: shift happens. So the thing we're building today will be replaced by something in the upcoming years or months. But in the meantime, we don't do a lot of things. We don't change a lot of things, and simply because we are afraid of our end users. So what do I mean with that? Well, our end users are really important. They are your colleagues, of course. I learned that yesterday somewhere. But if we change a small thing, like a couple of years ago, everybody went to VDIs, which was cool. But when we changed the way we work with applications from physical installed apps to software as a service, we all had a desire to move them out of our VDI environment. But we simply weren't able to do that because the user will get confused where to click, what to do, what to run. So we don't change anything. And if we wait and we wait and we wait, you get something that we call shit happens. We have to do something here and we have to do something here right now. We need to change our whole IT infrastructure and we make temporary decisions, which will be there on the long run. And this is specifically what we want to change with Liquid. We want to make everything so flexible, there possible of course, that the end users are never interrupted again in their day-to-day operations. They can simply click on an app, but the IT admins can decide what is going on in the back end. So we can change platforms. So we're saying we're changing the game because, well, both personas, and I'm going to, of course, talk about it for a little bit, but both personas need IT help. So everybody on the left-hand side of this picture understand these guys can frustrate an IT project by complaining about everything. They don't understand it. We need to help them. The right-hand guy, and just like me, I have a MacBook, and my MacBook is easy to use. I have an iPhone and I have a smartwatch also from Apple. So I chose the whole Apple ecosystem. Why is that? Because Apple changed the way we work with applications. We simply go to an app store. We click on it. It will download something, install something. I don't care. It will just fire up the application, ask me for a login or to even do the suggestion. And I don't have to worry about it. Applications are very complex. So when we install apps on our devices, we got a million ways to do so. And I think with Liquidware, one of the coolest things that they've done is make that easy again. So Liquid can also operate any other application in any scenario. So we can deploy an MSIX, of course, a Flex app. We can deliver physical apps, virtual apps, software as a service apps, and everything around that, fully context aware. So we try to deliver that Apple experience to any of those users, which everybody will understand. Because what's going on in the back end is really not understandable for any of the end users. Even for IT, this is complex. This is the long tail of legacy, as we call it. And there are always good reasons to have these pieces of legacy, like an archive server from a local government, or electronic file client dossiers from I don't know, a hospital or something. You need to keep that for at least 7 years or even more. So you need to have those systems up and running. But for the end users, it's just a frustrating experience. That is what we need to solve. This is what Liquid will solve for an end user. So we deliver any application on any device, regardless of the underlying technology. So how it will work? And at the end of this session, after Andreas will finish his introduction about Liquidware, I will do a really short demo about how we deliver apps. So we decouple the apps from what's going on in the backend. So Liquid will support any backend. Our agent, you can simply install our agent in the cloud or on-premise. Port 443, that's just it. It can operate anything. But on the front end, the user will just see an icon. So if I need to work on SAP and I have a corporate-owned device and I'm inside my office, we'll open up my device. We'll go to my portal, click on SAP, and Liquid will detect, wait a minute, SAP is not installed yet. We'll download SAP, we'll install SAP, configure SAP, and start up the app. And in the afternoon, the same user is going to work from home on the same device, so it's corporate owned. The user opens up the device, Liquid will detect, wait a minute, there is no VPN session. So let's first fire up his VPN session. The user does not see it. We'll go to the portal. We'll click on SAP and Liquid will detect, wait a minute, there's an update. We now need to install an update first before we fire up that application. And then we'll fire up the app and the user can work. But the result is the user will always work in the right version, in the right time, in the right moment, which will save you a lot of time and is more secure. And in the afternoon or in the evening, the user needs to write his hours in SAP. We'll take the iPad of his son, we'll go into the same portal, we'll click on the exact same icon, but then Liquid will change to a Citrix session because it is not a corporate owned device and there is no application available. So we'll fire up a Citrix session and Liquid will start up a single sign-on session. We'll fire up the application inside Citrix, which is also why we have created the image, and the end user can simply work in 3 different scenarios. The end user does not have to think about it. And now we can finally create the cool scenarios that we are on an on-premise app and we can migrate into Azure Virtual Desktop, Windows Virtual Desktop as it states here. But for the end user, nothing will change. So we can create smart icons where the user can simply click on something regardless of the device, and Liquid will make a decision. What do we start up? Where do we start it up? And now we can finally save some money because we are running on Citrix for all our users. Let's scale it down a little bit. They can work on a local laptop if possible, on a Citrix session if required. For task workers, you can do an AVD session and spin up those machines on demand. The best of hybrid experience. So this is also what Microsoft is saying. The user experience itself is going to span all of your devices. And I totally agree. So this is about Liquid. So if everybody's still awake, Andreas, the floor is yours. I'll make you a presenter right now. And then you can play around, make presenter. Andreas, you're the presenter. The show is yours.
Woo! Okay. Show my screen. You're seeing my screen now, right? Yeah. So like Nico was saying, right, we live in a dynamic world by now. Some say it hybrid. The reality is this is not just from a working from home versus working from the office perspective, but also true from a technology perspective. What we're seeing is that customers are finally ready to embrace the fact that one size does not fit all, that we live in a hybrid scenario in that sometimes a virtualized workspace will be sufficient or beneficial to the customer or to the user, and sometimes a physical device. Sometimes the user will need, technically speaking, a virtual environment just because his device doesn't run the operating system by default. So the application isn't compatible. And that's one of the things I think also what we and Liquidware and Liquit have in common. We both embrace the any. By now it's 4 times any feeling.
4 any's, how great is that?
We don't really care how you are going to be deploying your Windows-based workstation environment. Whether that's on-premise using Citrix, VMware, if you're going into the cloud using those same 2 companies, or Azure Virtual Desktop, or Amazon, or what have you coming in the near future, or you use a physical device. Everything we do is that we make sure that we go from an average experience in which we are currently, in which people have made decisions as to, hey, you know what, this is the only way we move forward. But we want to move it into an excellent user experience. An excellent user experience by decoupling the application from its underlying operating system and making something fundamentally different in the approach of how we deploy and install or basically make accessible applications. Now, what you've just seen is that Liquid, what they are doing is that they're making a context engine at the front end, making those decisions based on all kinds of criteria and circumstances, and then connecting the user to their application. But how do we get that application to begin with? How do we get there? And that's where Liquidware adds to the puzzle. That's why we're better together. Because from the traditional perspective, when you look back at application installation, either those to be silent or manual, I don't really care. There were a lot of reasons why we moved over from our traditional approach into a more modern approach. In the old days, we used to have stuff like DLL hell. We would have all kinds of version conflicts, and people would have several versions needed. For instance, from an SAP GUI perspective, you would have a ton loads of base images to service all of your Citrix environments, or even have application silos to deal with all of those conflicts and interactions, making it unmanageable. That's why we switched over from installing applications via SCCM or any other software distribution platform into a more modern approach. Now, the first step most of us took was step into application virtualization. But we soon learned that application virtualization is only able to cover around 60 to 65% of the application landscape. There were a lot of applications that were just not suited to be virtualized. Furthermore, the way application virtualization works, we're putting everything into its own little container, in its own little jail. If there was any interaction needed with the rest of the operating system or any other application, you would have to punch holes into those walls. Now, that's exactly what application layering is doing differently. Application layering puts the application in its own little container, its own little layer, but that container/layer is fully transparent to the operating system as well as to all of the other application layers. The only time we actually do any form of isolation if and when there is an actual conflict, either on a file or on a registry level. So if you were to have two different versions of the same DLL, yes, we would isolate that individual piece of software, that piece of the puzzle, and have the application just talk to its version of that DLL. However, for all of the other stuff, everything is transparent. But we're not just making it accessible to everyone. Just imagine you're on a multi-user Windows environment, either be it a traditional RDS or multi-Win 10 or multi-Win 11 on Azure. Just imagine that you're going to be loading a lot of users onto that environment. Which applications would be needed to be installed? Would everybody be able or allowed to see all the applications? One of the things we also do is a form of session isolation. So making sure that the only users that see the applications are the ones that are actually entitled to have those applications. And one of the things we've done is to make sure that our FlagStep solution is as compatible as you can imagine. So we're not forcing you into a certain way of distributing those applications. Now, we had this notion coming out of the gate. We thought, okay, this is what we really truly want to build. But what we've learned with all of our years of experience is that for a lot of customers, the transitioning over from the old scenario into the new scenario is a long and tedious way. So what we really wanted to make sure was that we would eliminate a lot of that rework, a lot of that reinventing the wheel, by just looking at, okay, what is it you've got now? So for instance, if you've got everything in SCCM, we just fully automated transitioning over from that traditional approach into the modern layering approach by automating that whole process. But also, because our whole product is API driven, we're offering you the possibility to fully optimize and automate the packaging or the creation of those layers. And by making those layers independent and flexible, we're making sure that you don't need to repackage anything if you're just updating the operating system, or if you're just switching from a desktop OS into a server OS. So I only have one version of an application that I need to manage as an organization. There is no need to have a specific version for RDS versus Windows 10 versus Windows 11. It is fully flexible, fully transparent. Now, we are all about choice. We don't limit you in the possibility. So we already had a tremendous amount of ways you could actually distribute our Flex app without having to use our own built-in solution, which is, as I might say, the most powerful and most dynamic ones. But we've seen a lot of companies making choices. Now, the beauty of today is that we're actually finally adding our, I should say, name partner in crime. I'm finally able to work again with some of my big friends from the industry, and we're able to announce that finally Liquid and Liquidware have joined forces and offering a integrated solution. And with that, I'm happy to hand it back over to Nico.
Yeah, I think we're all very proud of and very happy to do so. So I will give you a really short demo, and the beauty of it all is a Flex app is so incredibly simple that there is hardly anything to demo. But the story will go somewhere, and I will share my screen in a second. Can you make me a presenter again, Andreas, or should I make myself a presenter? Make presenter for myself. That works even better.
There you go.
Yeah, I promoted myself, and I think that's a good thing. I'm also always pretty happy with myself. So yeah, try to log on into my system. But as Andreas said, I think there are a couple of things that are incredibly powerful around the Flex app. And yesterday I actually had a discussion with one of the partners that we have at Liquid. They say, Nico, can you bring me a solution? Well, there we can work a little bit better with stateless VDIs. And I say, watch the webinar tomorrow. This is going to give you the answer to this. And this was honestly, seriously, a talk yesterday because, well, for Liquid, and you guys can see my screen, this is our front end. And this is not the most pretty side of them all today, but let's just imagine I just want to create a company portal. And I'm just pop up one of our other partnerships that we have. It doesn't matter for now. This is my workspace for me as an end user. This is where I get my Apple experience to go through my day-to-day work. And I'm logging on and I'm working on a really small virtual machine and I have all my apps in here. And as an end user, I don't know what kind of apps I have and where my apps are coming from. Should I even care? I really don't. The only thing I expect is that my app is there and it works as I expect it to be working. So this is exactly what we also do. But I also did the promise, let's make a universal backend. Let's make a backend that where you can work truly hybrid. So to start things off pretty easy. We have smart icons and we can create scenarios to bring the user to that hybrid experience. And the story will go to an end really soon, but so what Liquid will do, we'll start Excel 2016 on your local device, if it's there, and if it's a Windows device. And if you're hopping to an Apple device, we're going to start Excel physically on your Apple device, but only if the platform is iOS, and we can detect that the application is there. Now, it might be that the organization is still in a migration scenario. Then we bring Excel 2013. We're going to fire it up. So as an end user, I don't have to worry about it. But after that, there's a remoting scenario. I don't have a corporate owned device. I'm a BYOD. And I can set some parameters around it. Is the device secure enough to allow an AVD session into my data center? And finally, I go to Excel Online. So the result in 6 different scenarios for me as an end user is I don't have to think about it. This is the Apple experience. And we can create everything you need to have around those applications. Printers, drive mappings, ODBC settings, registry settings, security, look and feel, you name it. But still, I always get the comment, okay, now I need to maintain a lot of backend solutions. So what we do at Liquid, we will first connect to those various backends. So currently we're connected to AVD, to our print server, to our setup store, which I don't cover today, and to other services, even multi-tenant Liquid. We read out what's available and drag it into Liquid to make it a universal front end. But then on the back end, we need to deploy the packages on any environment. And that is where the power of Flex apps is. It is a universal app. So you can install or create a single image with Liquid and Flex apps for all your systems. So I can have a Microsoft 365 deployed workspace, fully context aware, that we launch the apps locally if possible and centralized if required, just from one single interface, as I just showed you from one of the icons. And I can go to a Citrix environment for my power users. But if you don't have a lot of power users, you can simply go to an RDS platform. And when it's down or out of capacity, you can auto fill over into the AVD cloud or AWS cloud or Nutanix Frame. Now we work in a hybrid environment. We all manage it from a single stack of applications with Flex apps, a single image that Liquid can deliver, and a single universal frontend where you can choose. And how does it all work? So I created an application. So I have here 2 team viewers, and it's just for indication that I can see where I'm clicking on. So I will go to the management interface. What this will do, it will first install the Flex app prerequisites. So actually the Profile Unity layer. But I only do that if you're on a Citrix server or on an HP laptop. So it's corporate owned. Just indication that we can filter it out and make it context aware, because the power of the Flex app is it comes with its own technology. If you're admin, you can simply install it. But in those environments specifically, I'm not an admin, so Liquid needs to take control that all the prerequisites are there. No.
That is, by the way, a one-time need, right?
Yeah.
So that is just like the Liquid client component. You would only need to deploy that agent once, and if it's already present, you don't need to redeploy it again. And just for the record, it's not the Profile Unity client, although I know why it's so confusing.
Yeah, it's installing.
It's just the Flex app. It's basically making sure that your platform is able to handle layered applications. So it's part of the Flex app component, but I know where the confusion is coming from, and we're working on making that a little easier to identify.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for that addition. So, and then after that, what is going on? So I've uploaded the TeamViewer.exe, the actual Flex app into Liquid Workspace. So this one is coming from the cloud, our cloud. And we have an agent which is running over port 443. So wherever you're around the world, we have control over your device. We can deploy and run any application. So what Liquid will do, we download the executable and we'll fire it up. So let's see. And I just created this demo, so let's see what happens. I will click on it. And now it's downloading the stuff, it's starting it up, and you can actually see the TeamViewer starting to run in here. So it takes a little while. I have a small machine, but there you go. This is your Flex app. And it's easy like that. And now I will close down the TeamViewer part. So I have another scenario, and this is what the part of the Liquid Smart Icons is. So I have here a regular TeamViewer. I will click on it. It will launch a TeamViewer application. And it will start up something, etc., etc. But now it will fire up a local installed version of TeamViewer. I will show you what's going on behind this icon, because Liquid can now make selections and choices. So this application is to be configured like I want to install it on a traditional way. Okay, if possible. Then Liquid is going to start to launch the TeamViewer if it's physically available and if I meet the requirements. So the process needs to be there, and the installation will only be run if I don't meet the requirements of a specific version. The whole idea behind this is you can prefer the physical ones if you want to, but after that Liquid can choose an alternative scenario, launch the virtual one. So let's see if it will work. I will try to do it live, how Liquid will switch over to a virtual version. And I never tried this for this app before, so I just might fail completely.
You see, it's already there. TeamViewer Flex app. That's ours.
That's ours.
Your client actually thought our layer was physically installed, and that's what I said. It's all transparent. Just look at your disk manager. You can see that it's now got an additional VHD mounted to the session.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
And that's what I said, right? It's as transparent as possible. And this is where especially I think the power from Liquid comes from, is in that same instance, let's say you had switched over to your Mac OS, then obviously mounting that Flex executable locally wouldn't have worked, because we're not able to run a Windows-based app on OS X. But then your Liquid engine would automatically, from a user perspective, launch perhaps a published application from Citrix, which was then still facilitated with that same Flex app 1 into a just base image of raw Windows multi-user or whatnot. And that's exactly where the power comes in, right? We are able to show to the world and and make it available as if it is installed locally. There is no virtualization in its traditional sense going on. There is no session virtualization or anything. From a Windows perspective, TeamViewer has been installed locally. The only beauty is that if you log out and you reboot your machine, by default, it should be gone again. It's going to be dismounted until the next time you use it. And then it will probably either pick it up from cache or whatnot. But it is as transparent as can be.
Yeah, I totally agree. So now let's dream big. So we're going to dream big right now. We're talking about hybrid, and it's hybrid. Well, good luck with deploying all your servers and all your images to all your devices. So typically you have a Citrix image and a Citrix test image and an Intune image, or whatever you want to call it, and then a VMware image and Azure Virtual Desktop image. With these two technologies combined, so with Liquid and Liquidware, you can truly make a universal image to maintain all your platforms just once. Because Liquid has a built-in integrated DTAP staging mechanism. We have created universal apps, so for the users on the front end, it's just one single experience. Liquid will select from Monday till Thursday, you're going to an RDS platform, but on Friday, we know you do power work, you're going to do it to a heavy Citrix platform. Much cheaper, you don't need to have that concurrency. But the Citrix servers will only deploy what's in the DTAP staging of production. And the Citrix test environment will only do what's going on in their test staging. And the HP laptops and the WVD pool also. So what we can create is a universal application. Here, for instance, Google Chrome. Create a universal app and inject the settings on demand. Inject custom settings on demand. And whenever I stage this, and this is not a Flex app, to my test environment, my Citrix test image is updated. As soon as I fire up my test environment or my MCS or PVS imaging machines or my templates, it will actually update the whole thing automatically. And when I stage this to production, it's production ready. So it's truly one single image with a bunch of connectors to the backend with universal apps, which can be deployed on any platform, where we can inject some settings around that later if it's required for a specific platform or a specific group of users. So now we have the well, I think Andreas might disagree with me, the ultimate experience. We have the ultimate front end, which is dynamic, where you can place it in the start menu in a portal. We have those ultimate flexible apps, just create it once and deploy it to multiple platforms. We have a solution on the back end where we can control and deliver a true unified image to any physical and virtual platform. And now we can finally have that hybrid experience where the whole world is waiting for.
Yeah,
and solutions.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you also mentioned, and I believe there are some partners in the audience, but perhaps even for customers, this might well be relevant. Just like Liquid, Liquidware also is fully multi-tenant usable, as in all of our Flex app. I mean, I send you those Flex apps by email, right? I package them on my machine for you, so you didn't have to go through setting stuff up, and etc. So there, you only have to package it once as well. And you can then drag and drop if you want to go to QA. If you have 10 different customers, as long as they're using the same version, hey, you know what? I only have to maintain one. So even from an application lifecycle management perspective, we're making things a whole lot easier with this approach.
But let's be honest, and I talked to customers recently. They had a Citrix platform and they had a physical laptop platform, and they run across 3 or 4 different time or language zones. And for Google Update, they need to they had to create with Intune. They had to create 6 different Google Chrome packages. That is completely a waste of time. Yeah, a complete waste of your time. So we need to help the users on the front end. That's what we exactly showed you, to make an easy, accessible platform where you're not only limited to use one virtual platform, like a couple of the major vendors will do, but you can choose and select and mix and match. And then on the back end with Liquidware and Liquid, we can make the solution that you can simply mix and match your technologies that you require, the amount of requirements that you have of virtual desktops, for instance, for a specific group of people, your power users. I know those devices are more expensive, or those concurrent licenses. Let's scale them down to the minimal requirements. And if you need more for just 1 or 2 days, let's fail over to Azure Virtual Desktop. Then just on demand spin up some machines. Hybrid for any's.
Just imagine, right, that you're getting into a cab somewhere and you leave your laptop, and all of a sudden, but you still need to do your work. You can just walk up to perhaps a cloud PC, if that's within your company, log into your account, have your Liquid workspace ready, and just fire up the applications without needing to pollute anything. You log off, that machine reverts back to its original state, no apps installed, no pollution. It's always fresh as can be. And you just walk up to the next, you walk into, well, let's just say MediaMarkt, as an example, or the Apple Store for you and me. And we can just continue on a new physical device and have that same experience. I mean, the possibilities are endless this way, and the costs have been reduced to a minimum. There is not a lot of management overhead. There's not a lot of additional costs like maintaining all of these different Citrix environments and Azure and different management platforms. It's a hybrid world with a singular management platform.
And if you bring on top of that our release and patch management, I didn't show it, and we don't have really time for that, but we have a setup catalog with 4,000 applications. We can transform them automatically into a Flex app, then enroll to anything. So with our integrated DTAP staging, what we can do, we can enroll an app automatically to a test environment where users can self-test the application, self-approve the application, self-stage into production, and your images are auto-maintained with that. So if you redeploy your Azure Virtual Desktop Session Host during the night, tomorrow they are up to date again. It's an evergreen situation. Don't have to worry about release and patch management with all the commercial off-the-shelf apps. So there again, a lot of time saving.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's been such a breeze to work with our app layering technology compared to what I was used to in the past. Because this is as easy. We have a very simple infrastructure from a management perspective, because all we need is a storage location, right, to store those Flex apps, and that's about it. And then we either leverage ours, but in this case, I see the benefit of working with Liquid as the front end in distributing those apps to the endpoint without really needing any additional infrastructure than the base components that every company has. Everybody has a storage location. So there is no need for expensive SQL or very high-end file servers. I mean, blob storage on S3 level is by default already enough to just be able to distribute those.
Same for Liquid. So as you can hear, everybody, I think two of these tech guys are really enthusiastic about the monster we just created, the powerful solution we've just created, of course. If you have any questions, just let us know now. Otherwise, I want, of course, to thank you all. So you can contact us both if you have any further questions around the technologies, if you want to learn more or to see a deeper integration. For us, and of course also for Liquidware, you can always request your own personal demo environment to play around with, get some experience with the solutions. For Liquid, we offer training. You can go to a website and it's a free of charge training to get familiar with our solution. And yeah, upcoming events. I think the both of us are physically in London Monday. So if you want to go for a chat, just come to our booths. Anything to add, Andreas?
No, I think from a training perspective, it's always, just reach out to me or follow me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of stuff there on a weekly basis to show you the power of Flex app. As you can hear, I'm really passionate about the technology, because I really believe it's going to be changing the way we handle applications, and we finally get rid of all of that still 3 to 5 year old application landscape, and where people still need to use Office 2013, even though we're in 2022 again. Come on, let's get rid of all of that old legacy stuff and move into the new era, either be it SaaS or Windows-based apps. We've got the solutions for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I don't see there are any open questions currently. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. The recording is available afterwards. And with that, have a nice day, everybody. Thanks.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.